Hi guys, this is Krivili again with another product review, and today we are going to have a look at product notebooks or respective paper that I've seen been around for a while, and they also often get discussed in the stationery community. The product that it's all about is the so-called Ogami notebooks or Ogami stone paper. I've got those notebooks here sent from Carlos at Land of Paper.es. That's his online shop. He's in Spain distributing Sumkin notebooks, those Ogami stone notebooks and all kind of stuff. So thanks Carlos for letting me have a look at those notebooks and that paper that I'll cover here now. Yeah, if you want to get that stuff, check out his shop. So the notebooks or respective the paper. The Ogami notebooks is the first notebook made from stone. That's what it says. So it's a special kind of paper that is received or perceived ambivalently, as I said, in the community, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. There is some information here about what this is all about. Ogami uses a special kind of 80% calcium carbonate and 20% non-toxic resin paper. Like, I've googled that a little bit, and as far as I understand, the paper is not made from wood fibers or whatsoever, but it's made, I think it's like chalk stone or something that this paper is made of, which makes it very, very smooth, very nice to touch. The calcium carbonate comes from limestone recovered from quarries and from building industry waste. So it's not chalkstone, it's limestone mixed up with the resin. It makes it for a resistant, durable and waterproof paper, as well as a soft, smooth and recyclable experience. It's tree free, so it's ecological, waterproof. It's resistant. That's really true. Like, it's very difficult to actually tear the paper. It's economic in the sense that it probably saves the planet or something like that. Uses less CO2 because they're actually not that cheap. So the small ones, they come in a 2-pack, 90 times 140 millimeters, cost about 10 euro or 12 euro. And the bigger ones, hardcover, 130 times 210, they cost also about 10 or 12 euro. Yeah, it's very soft paper, recyclable and all that. So that's that. Then with it, there comes a small brochure. We're changing the way you look at paper. As said, these notebooks come in plain, ruled, squared, all kind of sizes here. You can have a look at that, pause the video and have a look at that. All kind of colors and whatever. As said, you can pause the video and have a look at that for yourself. Here's some information, the information that I just read again, the same stuff in Italian because it's an Italian company. I think they're produced in Milan. And then again, some information. That's the brochure that comes with it. But more interesting, let's have a look at the actual notebooks. So I find they have a really, really nice design. Ogami, Gruppo, Cartorama. The same information that I've just read again. There is the repap, is the paper that this notebook, or this, they call that stone paper repap paper. So there are, as said, different sizes. The small one, 90 times 140, has 24 repap sheets with 120 micron. That's how they measure the density or thickness of that stone paper. That corresponds to regular paper, apparently, of about 140 grams, printed in Italy. And the same here with the bigger ones, 130 times 210. With 64 repap sheets inside. As said, that one costs around 10 or 12 euro, and those normally come in a 2-pack. I got one costing also 10 or 12 euros. So to the paper, I mean, the paper is honestly a bit weird because the thing is, so the difference between regular paper and stone paper, to my understanding, is that regular paper is a little bit more like a sponge. So it has sort of like a rough surface and it's also absorbent. So that means that ink actually, for example, gets sucked into regular paper. Let me see if I have a paper sheet here somewhere. And you'll see that paper has a bit of a structure. The camera picks that actually up, yeah. So that means ink gets sucked into the structure, it gets absorbed, and pencil, for example, sort of sticks on the grooves of on the surface of the paper. So that's how you write with a pencil. But now the stone paper actually is is a very smooth paper. You don't see any surface structure whatsoever. It feels really nice, really smooth. So it doesn't really have a structure, at least not a tactile structure. Maybe under a microscope it has one. But that also means that it takes, for example, watercolor pretty well, which is nice, because actually the water that you use to paint with the watercolor doesn't sort of like get absorbed into the paper and all that. That's nice. The paper doesn't crinkle. That's also nice. But then the flip side of the coin is that paper is not very sticky because it has no surface structure. That means that ballpoints or pencils or something like that are a little bit prone to smudging, and ink, for example, really behaves kind of unpredictable. Sometimes it sort of like seems to crack really through the surface structure and feather and bleed in all kinds of directions. But I'm going to show you that now. So I mean, those notebooks really, those soft cover here, they really have a soft cover. It's not very sturdy. You see, like I carried that in my jeans pocket and shirt pocket only for a couple of days, and that's what it already looked like. So I think that one is really, it should be a pocketable notebook, but maybe it's better to keep that on the desk. I don't know, it doesn't take so much beating apparently. Also, I've used that back pocket here only for some coupons or something like that, and it already cracked, so that is also not very sturdy. Then as to the paper behavior, actually, you see, like I tried to put a stamp on here, my address stamp. I'm not even worried to show that on the camera because actually no one is going to be able to read that. So okay, that's a bit of a problem, because if that is my address stamp in here and I lose that notebook, no one is also going to be able to send that back to me, because you actually can't read where I'm living. And I've let that dry for a little bit because and then it sort of started to feather and all that kind of stuff. And like when I closed the notebook, that here happened, like it was printing through on the other side, because as said, the paper is not very absorbent, so it sort of like lays on the surface like long dry time, also with fountain pen ink and stuff. So, but I mean, pencil works fairly well, but even pencil, I don't have very wet hands right now, but you see, I can still smudge the pencil here a little bit. So, well, not too sure that here is some regular writing. I tried some rollerball here and a pencil and whatever. Here I made a small watercolor painting, not too arty, but at least it's watercolor. That paper takes watercolor actually fairly well. You see, the paper almost doesn't crinkle or wrinkle or whatsoever. That's really nice. But you can also see that when I was writing an address here with pencil, it sort of prints through on the other side. You really see the structure of that. That's not so nice. Then I took a lot of notes and whatever just to try that notebook a little bit. It's actually stitched, like it's thread bound. That binding is really nice. That's well made. So now on the back side, I tried a couple of other pens and whatsoever. So let's go through that. Hello, I'm a ballpoint pen, so ballpoint works pretty well. And I am a pencil, how are you? Pencil is also okay. What's still okay is a Faber-Castell fine pen or a Stabilo .88 or a Stabilo Pen 68, which are felt tip pens, fine liners, all that kind of works. But then the inkier it gets, the more difficult it actually gets for the paper. So Pelikan Inky, as you can see already, really feathers, right? And also a Pelikan Inky normally is pretty dark. So this here is a Pelikan Inky. That's what it normally looks like. So the paper actually over time, I've had that down for like maybe a month now, also seems to like lose or absorb color a little bit. I don't know how that actually works physically or chemically or whatsoever. You see, that's still smudges, so it really takes fairly long to dry. And then as soon as you really get to nib and ink, as you see, the paper is kind of unpredictable. The Faber-Castell fine nib here, and I think that was a Sailor ink, Okuyama maybe, went still quite all right. Now the Lamy fine nib, that is a standard Graph Sky Blue, like feathered out completely. Faber-Castell medium nib, I think this here is a Hiroshizuku Yamaguri, more or less all right here, but on that part here, it really feathers. Pelican with a fine steel nib, I don't know what ink that is, a Diplomat medium nib, that was a this new gray, Kaweco smoky gray, I think it's called, or smoke gray or something like that. So on that part here, it took the ink quite well, crisp lines, and then on that side, again, the ink sort of broke through the surface, feathers like crazy, and a Sailor fine nib that I have here, and I also don't remember, I think that is maybe Konpeki or something like that. Also kind of unpredictable, some crisper lines here, a lot of feathering there. So the paper kind of unpredictable. The big notebook, same thing. You also have like Ogami, unusual accessory. Yeah, pretty unusual actually. When it comes to the paper, that part here in which you better write with a pencil because a stamp won't really do. And the same issue. Oh, by the way, what I wanted to show you on that paper here, on that side, actually, that was my daughter. She found a notebook and a pencil, and you know, I mean, she's just 3 years old, so not very sensitive with her hand movements. So she pressed a little hard, and so that's what happened. The paper really doesn't crack. I mean, you see, that's really like a plasticish, I don't know what kind of surface, like it really like presses through, but it doesn't crack. I mean, a regular paper, she would have cracked that with that sharp pencil, but that here actually, it doesn't crack, but it really prints through, and it prints through even until page number 3. There's still a dot. So now here you can even still see the line. So it actually, even when you're like, it feels very soft, like it almost feels like you're writing on a piece of plastic or something like that. It doesn't feel so bad. It's just a little bit weird, a little bit getting used to when writing with a ballpoint or a pencil. As said, ink, kind of difficult. Let's flip through that notebook here. I've done the same thing, the same pens that I've used also here. You can use a ballpoint that prone to pressing through a little bit. You see that on that part here again. Come on, camera. Yep. See that? Ghosting. Quite a lot of ghosting. I don't even know if you could really actually write on the second page. That is really some considerable ghosting. No bleed through whatsoever. There's no bleed through. Nothing but ghosting. Quite some ghosting. Yeah. Pencils feel alright to me. Stabilo pen 68 alright. Stabilo pen 88 alright. Faber-Castell broad pen okay. Pelican inky so and so. Feathers a bit, loses the color. Pentel Energel still fine, but pretty wet writer, inky writer. As said, no absorbing stone paper, long dry time, prone to smudging. And then the fountain pen inks, totally unpredictable again. Depending on the ink, on the nib width. I would not really use that for fountain pens. And then I also have to say that I find that 12 euro for a notebook, very nice design, very nice cover. I don't know how long that white will stay white. I've not carried that with me for long enough, but feels very soft, very nice. But for a notebook that costs 12 euro, I'd expect at least a back pocket maybe, maybe a more durable one than that one, and I'd expect also maybe a page marker. So I'm not sure. The notebooks, to sum it up, they're really nice. They're more of a design piece maybe. You definitely also pay the design, and I find that design of the notebooks, find it very, very nice. I like it a lot. The price is all right. It's okay. It's not super expensive. It's also not very cheap. They're not necessarily everyday carries because that is not very, very durable, but it's okay. You can carry it, but it's not the most sturdy notebook that I've ever seen. Those ones, I think they're also all right, but I think they're probably better to have on a desk or something like that. And then I'd say, if you use them with a fine liner, a pencil, a ballpoint, and you're not very heavy-handed, They're also all right, but they take different mediums such as watercolor also fairly well, also very nice. But if you want to use them with fountain pens, I wouldn't recommend that. So I hope that review was useful. Thank you again, Carlos, for sending me those notebooks to have a look at. That was that with this review. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you at the next review. Bye bye.